Welcome back, everyone. We're going to be solving LeetCode 205, isomorphic strings. So we're given two strings, s and t, and we want to determine if they are isomorphic. Two strings, s and t, are isomorphic if the characters in s can be replaced to get t. Okay, all occurrences of a character must be replaced with another character while preserving the order of the characters. No two characters may map to the same character. Okay. So we can create a mapping, and let's go to example 1. So we'll map E to A and G to D, and then we can just loop through the characters in our mapping, and then print them out. And if we get the same resulting string as S, we should return true. So let's do that. Let's create a mapping where what do we want to do? We want to map the character in T to S. Yeah, so let's say for I in range length of T. What do we want to do? We want to say if we want the T to map to A, it's going to have to be if T of I is not in mapping. Then we are going to set mapping of T of I equal to S of I. Otherwise, we won't do anything, and then we are going to want to build a new string at the end. Let's just call it res. So now what? Now we should be able to loop through T. Every character in T, we're going to print out the resulting character from our mapping. So we're going to index into the mapping, grab A, whatever it's mapped to, append it to our string. And let's make this an array and return a string join instead. So we'll say for character in T, if character is in our mapping, we want to res.append mapping of that character, and we want to return a string join of our res, and if it is equal to s, our beginning string. If it is, then we should return true. If not, it'll be false. So let's run this and see what we get. Test case 2 fails. So let's see. Foo and bar, false. It's not in map. Okay, so we're adding in R to our mapping when A has already been mapped to O. So I think instead we should be able to check if S of I is not in mapping dot values. This should fix it. And it does, so let's submit. Okay, it works. It's not the best time complexity. Let's see if we can fix that. So this is running O of n, that's fine. This is running O of n squared. How can we fix this? Well, instead of checking S of I not in mapping.values, okay, so while we're looping through T, let's create a set. We'll call it triple S is going to be equal to a set. And when we loop through T, we won't check if the character at the ith position is in our mapping values. We'll say if it's not in our set. That'll give us an O of 1 lookup time instead of O of n. If it's not in there, we want to obviously add it, so we'll do SSS dot add the s of ith character, and then we will update our mapping accordingly. So this should give us an O of n runtime for this loop instead of O of n squared. So let's run it, see if it even works, and it does. Submit, and it does, and there we go, a better time complexity. So again, I just said time complexity is going to be O of n. This for loop will run O of n. This for loop will run O of n. The space complexity is not the greatest, right? We're creating a mapping which is going to be O of whatever the length of this mapping is. And then we're also going to have a set. This is always going to be equal to the length of our unique characters in S. So O of S dot length, where it's only the unique characters. And then obviously we will have a resulting array, but since we're rebuilding the S string and then just comparing it right here, right? So this is just going to be O of S dot length essentially, and that's it. So the space complexity, like I said, not the greatest, but we did speed up the time complexity. So mapping dot length plus unique characters in S dot length, unique plus S, well, so you guys don't get it confused, we'll say res dot length. And that'll do it for LeetCode 205 isomorphic strings.